So hello everyone, welcome to join our event today, and we are Inform's Northeastern. So Informs is the largest society in the world for professionals in the field of operations research, management sciences, and analytics. And we are the student chapter at Northeastern University. So today's event, we invite Shannon to be our speaker. And Shannon is a market analyst at a global manufacturing company. And she has been focusing on improving data quality and promoting analytics application. She also helps students develop their skill set in analytics and start careers in different areas at University of Tulsa. And her topic today is careers in analytics and skills development, which will also focus on training. So welcome, Joy. And Shannon, could you start your presentation now?
Thank you very much, you. Let me share my
okay.
Click. Let's see. This way I can only share this one, right? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm very glad that we can talk here, and feel free to send a chat in the chat area anytime if you have any questions or any comments, because since it seems like we don't have many people so far, so feel free to send it at any time. And so let me introduce myself a little bit. I think Kuan Yu already did a very good job introducing me. I just want to share more stories of why and how I chose this path to be working in this analytics area. So I'm from China, and I came to the US for school in 2011. So I came here for my undergrad school. I did finance and marketing. Sounds like nothing to do with analytics, right? But I know that I want to do analytics. I had a passion in statistics when I was in sophomore. So that's when I started getting more interest in numbers. But at that time, the University of Tulsa that I went to, they didn't have a analytics programs yet. So I just stick with marketing and finance until I graduate. After I graduated, I stayed at University of Tulsa, and I did quantitative finance and MBA. So some people may ask me, you knew that you were going to do analytics or like statistics related stuff, and why you still chose this? So I had another opportunity to do business analytics in University of Melbourne. I didn't choose it. I have a very simple reason for doing that, because TU offered me scholarship. So it's basically free education, right? So that was an easy choice for me. And I eventually choose quantitative finance because it still have this quantitative part in there, right? So I did, while I was in graduate school, I was a graduate assistant. I did both research and teaching. So after from graduate school, I got a job at Enovation Controls as a market analyst, which I deal with numbers again. And then that's definitely something that I've been wanting to do all the time. And Enovation Controls, you're probably not familiar with it. You've probably never heard of it, but some of our clients, you definitely have seen our products. So for example, like many John Deere products, they use some of their panels, some of their controls are made by us. John Deere, like Caterpillar, some companies like that, and also in like recreational marine, we like Harley Davidson, if you like motorcycles. So some of their parts are from us, from Enovation Controls. So that's a little bit about Enovation Controls, what we do. We have offices everywhere, all around the world. So I think that's something that I really like, because I'm an international student, so I like to deal with international stuff. I also served as adjunct professor at University of Tulsa. I teach finance classes and also some analytics or statistics class. Also a Microsoft certified data analyst associate. I will talk about this certification specifically at the end of my presentation. So I already introduced myself and I want to learn more about you guys. So I just, by talking with Victoria, that I learned that you guys are in, most of you guys are in graduate school, right? Is there anyone who's in undergrad school? If you are, you can put it in the chat. And the second question is, are you considering AI or big data or analytics as your future career? Or are you still deciding? You can put it in the chat. That, let me see. Can I see the chat from? So yes, I see yes to this question. Nice. And the last question is, what's your major? Industrial engineering. Industrial engineering. So, okay, so you guys are the more the engineering side. Awesome. So that's great. Hey, if you guys need are interested in innovation controls, let me know. So, okay. So you guys are having, you guys chose very good programs. These are great. And me, before I start talking about my whole content, I want to share some stories with you. So I had this friend and he said, hey, I just got a job in data analysis. And then he said, I did this project for them and running into some issues. And I said, what issues did you run into? And he showed me this, the result of all of the thing that he did. I had a look at it. There were like 10,000 data points and he had about 35 variables. And I said, hey, this is not gonna work. You have too many variables. And he said, but look, I did regression analysis and my R-square is pretty high, which means this model works. And I said, I think it's overfitting. And he didn't understand overfitting. So I said, well, you probably need another lesson on regression, right? So I spent half of my day giving him more information on regression analysis. So that's the first point that I want to make, is to understand the black box. The thing that he did is just to put everything on Excel or on the software that he used to do analytics, and then just use the software, let the software do it. And what the software do is just to put it into a box that we don't know how it works, and then give you a result. So that's something that I call a black box. It's because you can't see through it. You don't know how it works. So it's very important for us to understand it, because many times I've seen people who came to me who say, okay, I know machine learning, I know neural networks, I know KNN. But if you ask them, do you know the assumptions based on that? Do you know what are the pitfalls of this model? Do you know this? Do you know that? They don't really understand it. They don't understand how it works. So that's something that can make you outstanding if you understand how it works. There are so many different programs, especially right now. Big data is a trend, right? There are so many programs, certifications. Different school has their own different programs. Many people who's not there to learn how it works, how they get this result, and that's so when you go look for a job, the employer may say, okay, that's great that you know neural networks, it's great that you know these, it sounds so fancy, right? But when you really work on that, you can say, here's the result, but how do you interpret the result? How are you going to choose the model to get the best result? That's the very important part. That's a very important part. The project that my friend did, R-square was very high, but the error was huge. Every time when a new month data coming in, he used the new data to score the new results. The error was huge. So that's why I said to understand the black box, to understand the things, how it works, especially in forecasting, because part of my job is to forecast. So in my view, I think forecast is not just to get a number, but through this process of forecast, you see why this is going on, why it's this number, and if it's this number, is it good for us or not good for us, right? And if it's not good for us, is there anything that we can do to fix it? So I think it's a whole process. It's not about just to getting a number. That's something very important. I've also seen people who said, well, I joined this demo class of analytics, and it sounds so easy. All you need to do is just put numbers in there, you highlight it, and then you process it with this software, and then you get something from it. In real life, those are not going to work. The data set that you use, you probably see it works very well, but in real life, it might not work. So that it's very important. I know I said it so many times, but it's very important to understand it. And you guys are in very good programs, Northeastern University, very good university. And you guys are in very good major as well. So you definitely understand this. Just don't look down this. Don't ever think that I don't have to learn this part. So that's the first point that I want to make. And then the next part I want to make is actually, let me put this. Can you see the bigger version of this? Okay, first of all, I want you to concentrate on this part around after 2000. So see that this chart even just give up putting things on there because things going too fast. Things are going so fast that we'll have to catch up. And that's something that I also tell everyone. This is so, you're gonna study for the rest of your life. You have to learn for the rest of your life. That's something that many people's not prepared. Many people think, okay, I graduated, I can use my knowledge to do things. But nowadays, things going to develop so fast. Things, maybe the last month you still use this thing, and then the next month there's a new thing coming up, right? Let's just use an example of Power BI. A lot of my job involves with Power BI. And what I do is every month I check the Power BI, the Power BI website. They will give you new Power BI features, and those features change fast too. I will learn them, how to use them, and then I will send it to my coworkers, send it to all of the Power BI users in the company, and then tell them, here's something that we can use, here's something that's updated. So it changed very fast. And just think about that, like Tableau, Power BI, Hadoop, right? And when was the first time you ever heard about Hadoop? When was the first time you ever heard about the AWS, right? Those things. So it's very important to get ready to learn, And it's not like while you were still at school, because while you were still at school, the professors will tell you, here's the curriculum, here's what you are going to learn, right? But it's about you, because in the workplace, no one will tell you what to learn. It's about you deciding what you are going to learn, what you are going to use, what will be the trend of data analytics, right? So that's something that you need to prepare for the rest of your life. Not ever get rest. That's something that you're gonna face. So it's not easy, because many times, especially after work or during the weekend, all I want to do is to just sit there or lay there, watch my videos, right? Watch some TV shows, watch Netflix, right? Or play video games. That's what I want to do. But here's the reality, is that you've got to learn things. Otherwise, you'll be outdated. Okay, so we concentrated on this side of the history of data science. And now I want you to have a look at this side, the very beginning.
Sorry, Shannon, could you zoom in a little bit more? Like make it a little bit bigger?
Let me see if I can do that.
Oh, yeah. This looks better.
Yeah. Sorry, this is not big enough.
Thank you.
Okay, so, now I want you to have a look at this side, right? 1800, it is probability, correlation based theorem. In math, we have calculus, things like that. And people still use it, right? People still use these methods. People still use these methods in 1960, Bayesian methods, time series, stochastic methods. People still use them, and those are still very important in the data science or in data analytics area, right? So the point that I want to make here is, okay, is don't, oops, goes too fast, is don't ignore the simple methods or old methods. And advanced doesn't always mean useful. So the same person came to me, the story that I was just telling you, the same person came to me when he just got a job. He said the first project he did, he said, I want to try to use neural networks. I want to try to use the clustering, those stuff. And I had a look at his data and I said, I think the best model to choose is logistic regression. And he said, but it's not fancy. So I said, it's not about fancy. After you've done this thing, it doesn't give you the best result. So why bother? And I said, if you want to make it fancy, you want people to know that, oh, you know, neural networks is something that I've never heard of, and that's so cool, then do it. But I'm telling you, it wouldn't give you the best result. So this is very important. Many people who I've seen this in this industry, they deal with regression all the time. They even deal with, in statistics, there's the z-test, t-test, they still deal with that in their analysis. And it's something that you will continue to use. It's not because, say, you got a job title that's, let's say, a data scientist or analytics, data analyst or business intelligence. It doesn't mean that you are not going to use the easy way or the old methods. So if you guys heard about the term called Occam razor, or I think it was, so it basically means that the easier the better, right? So sometimes you have to deal with that. It's not, it doesn't mean that if you got a job in this industry, it doesn't mean that your job's gonna be fancy. And I'll tell you the truth, when I got my current job, I was very excited. I was like, okay, that's very nice because I'm gonna deal with all of the sales data. So, and I was the only person who deal with that. And I was very excited. I thought so many ways to deal with the data. I went there, I spent the first whole year cleaning the data. That was my job. The first whole year cleaning the data. It wasn't fancy. It was a very like repeat thing, and you have to deal with a lot of like entry, human errors. It wasn't fun. But after the first year, everything gets so easy. So you will still deal with things that you think, oh, I wish I don't have to deal with these things. Or I wish this is not part of my job. But the reality is it's part of your job. Data cleaning, regression analysis, even some simple like descriptive analysis, just calculating means, the average, calculating like the quartiles, those could be part of your job as well. So be ready to do everything, right? Okay, and now the next thing that I want to talk about is something that so you might not think a lot. So when you choose a job, can you put in the chat of what do you think you will consider? Like when you get multiple offers, what are the first thing or first 2-3 factors that you consider which one you're going to choose? I know that many of you will say salary. Yeah. Location, self-development, those are very good. Good points. Self-development, awesome. Job role, very good. Anything else? How does it fit to your professions? Work-life balance. Okay, very good points. Very good points. Culture. Yeah, it's very important to consider culture as well. Okay, all very good points. So the one that I want to mention is specifically for analytics. And these are the ones, it may not be on your top list of your consideration factors, but it will definitely be something that's gonna change your workload. That's something gonna change how happy you will be in this job. So the first factor is, let's see, is the importance of big data for a company. So this is just by industries, a Dresner survey that they did by industries, but many, so each company, they are different. So don't use this as a guideline, just kind of give you an idea of what to consider. Don't use this as a guideline. If you're looking for jobs, do the research on that specific company because it may be different, right? So some companies think that, oh, it's very important. The big data is very important for us, like telecommunications, or like I would say companies like Google, Amazon, right? They're all big companies that use a lot of big data analysis, and like advertising, very important, right? But if you see like some of the companies over here, like maybe healthcare and maybe education, they may not see it very important. But again, the case varies by the company, right? So another factor that you may want to consider is how much the company adopt big data. Again, this is just for reference. Don't use it as a guideline. It's just something that you can get an idea of. All I want to make is right over here. So we have these, I put them in 4 different squares. So we have more adoption, less adoption, and then more important, the not important. So in the company that has more adopted more analytics, if they're more mature on this thing, and the good thing about it is you will have more opportunity to learn, because the people around you, they all know analytics, something that they know you may not know, you know they may not know, so you can always learn from them. And I believe that there will be more like training programs, and like the people, you'll probably have mentors to help to lead you in this whole process. So that's something good about it. Something not so good about it is that means more competition, because there will be people around you doing the same thing, right? So that means more competition here. Less adoption, and that means more flexibility. Why is that? Probably not too many people are working on analytics, right? And you are probably the person who could decide, I want to try this, how about we try that and see if that works, right? Things like that. So you'll have more flexibility when you choose what project that you want to do. And sometimes even your boss or your supervisor may not know as much as you do, so they'll give you enough space to do your project, to provide hypotheses, to prove your view, right? And the good thing about less adoption, it means less competition, right? So well, the bad thing about it is you won't have that much opportunity to learn. You have to learn it mostly yourself, have to mostly self-motivate to learn, right? And if it's over here, more important, if the company sees it more important, they'll definitely give you more support. Not only the management, but also everyone, right? If they have this culture, data culture in this company. So if it's not important, that means less support. And another thing that I don't like about the company sees it not important is that it might make you feel that you are not doing a meaningful job. So I've had this issue before. I won't tell you which company. It's one of the companies that I work for. So they, so I remember that I spent like 2-3 months working on a project, and I finally got a result that I'm happy with. And I told them, say, hey, here's what I did. And as a conclusion, I think we should choose A. And they said, well, great. Thank you very much, Shannon. And we're going to choose B. So that happened once. You feel it's all right. They probably have other considerations, right? But if it happened constantly, you will question yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I still here? What am I doing here, right? So it might make you feel that this is not a meaningful job. So that's something that you need to consider. And I want to talk like each square by square. So for example, over here, I will say this is the most ideal place for a data analyst to work. Like Google, Amazon, right? More opportunity to learn, more support, which is great, right? And over here, more people see it more important and less adoption. I see this very good as well, because you have more flexibility and less competition, right? And you still get the support from the management, from the company. Some people may ask, but that doesn't make sense. If the management sees it very important, how could it not doesn't have enough adoption, right? Why haven't they developed it yet? So two scenarios. One scenario is that they see it very important, but they might not have enough budget, or they might not have enough capacity to calculate things. So that's one scenario. That's something that I was in. I was in an internship a few years ago, not few years ago, a long time ago, as a research intern to work for a nonprofit education organization. So I did a lot of analysis for them, and all of their management sees analytics, sees data analysis very important. But because of their budget, because they don't have enough budget, plus they're a nonprofit organization, the way for them to make money is very limited. So they didn't have a lot of data analytics there. So that's one scenario. And another scenario is when they just started doing this, they think it's very important. That's why they started doing this. So they will go from here towards here. So that's something that I think it's another very ideal situation, right? For you, everyone's happy. The company is happy, you're happy, right? And let's see this square. Less adoption, not important. I will say, avoid this part unless you can flip this not important up to more important. But this will require some skills from you. One is promotion. You have to promote this thing to let people be aware of analytics in the organization. So if you choose this part, you probably wouldn't start as a data scientist or a data analyst. So this part is, I tell you the truth, is gonna be hard. I've known people who successfully flip it. They have their leadership skills, they have their promotion skills, they successfully flip it to more important to here, which is good, right? And that's something that, but once you flip it, it will make everything very nice. And it will also help you to get a better position in this organization if you successfully done that, right? So again, if you can avoid this, if you receive multiple job offers and one of them's here, you probably say, okay, I don't want to deal with this, then it's totally fine, right? Totally makes sense. But if you say, I only have this one offer, what do? My suggestion is to take it and try to flip from not important to more important. Okay, and then the last square here, more adoption, not important. Some people think, oh, this doesn't make sense. If someone think it's not important, why are they still doing it, right? Might be caused by change of management. Some companies, let's say their management team say used to see this very important, So they invested a lot in here, and then when they changed to a new CEO or new management, and the person said, okay, I don't like this, right? And that may change a lot of stories, the whole story. Another scenario is that some people, some companies, they may think, okay, everyone else is investing in analytics, we should do the same thing. And then after a while, they realize this is not working for us, right? Maybe they adopt the wrong methods to do, or maybe they didn't invest in the correct place. And they say, okay, this is not good for us. So they take it back, right? So that's something that you need to consider, because if they don't think it's important, the more adoption is going to go towards this way, to less adoption. So something that very important to consider. Again, these are not gonna be the deciding factors for you, but definitely something that's gonna change your whole workload, change your satisfaction of your job. Make sense? Okay.
Yes. A quick question. So it's very interesting the first time to see this square. So like as you said, the top right one is the most ideal one. Then we all know like maybe some really famous tech company, Amazon, Google, whatever, they are there. So what about like top left one? Could you give us some like typical industrial, typical companies, or
So I think I know that some education companies, they're over here, and some emerging like manufacturing companies, they're probably over here too. Because let's say the company that I work for, Enovation Controls, we are a very traditional manufacturing company. So we didn't have a lot of like analytics stuff, but people are seeing this very important now, and people are involving more and more stuff over here. So it's right here, and I can see that it's going this way, but comparing to like some tech companies that you mentioned, it's probably not there yet. So those are the companies, or like some right, wholesales, right? Wholesales maybe over here, right? But again, it totally depends on the company. So that's something that I would suggest you guys to do, is to ask questions in interview. My students came to me and say, hey, Shannon, like they asked me if I have any questions, I don't know what to say. If you're looking for an analytics job, this is something that you can ask. You can say, hey, what are some, instead of asking like, what's the, like how much adoption you guys have in analytics, you can ask like, can you give me some examples of the projects that you guys are doing with data, right? That's some good questions to ask, to kind of have an idea of how much this company's doing this. And the more important, not important, you can ask like, what's the data culture here, right? Has the data analysis involved in the decision making, things like this, that may help you get a better idea of this metrics. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So little homework for you guys. Shannon, we don't have spring break. Why give us homework? This is something that you are gonna do. I'm not going to grade it. I've been grading too many things. I'm not going to grade anything. But one thing is this website. If you click on that, well, actually, I will put this in the chat later. If you click on that, you can find it's called Analytics Career Pathways White Paper Report by Informs. This actually just came out like 2 days ago, I think. It has, you just put your email address there, and then it will send it to your email address. And then, so it basically tells you the trend. It tells you a bunch of things, like what the job title and what skills that you will need for that job title, right? But the only thing is sometimes some companies, when they hire someone, they probably don't even know the difference between a data scientist and a data analyst. They probably don't even know the difference between the business intelligence and AI, right? So I would suggest you to do another thing, is to go to job postings like Glassdoor, LinkedIn, or you can just go to your dream company career website and then see their job qualifications, see their job descriptions, see what skills they want. Because eventually for analytics, skills are very important, right? And it doesn't matter what background you are, because I know that people from all different kinds of backgrounds, they do analytics now. Just like I said before, I know people who was in MBA programs, they're doing analytics. They never had any like math, or they never had any statistics background before, and they're doing it, and all because they have the skills, right? So go to those job postings and don't just don't just go have a look at like 1 or 2 jobs, but have a look at a lot of jobs so that you know what people need right now. And the last one is to search on certification or exams and see which fits you the best and start working on that. And one certification that I recommend you is the one that I had. It's the Microsoft certification. So it was, there are a lot of certifications on Microsoft website that you can go. If you are interested in BI, Power BI certification is a good one. Tableau has their own certification as well. You just have to take their exam and then get the certification. And they're not super hard. Like you study it, you should be able to get it in a few months. And so that's something that you probably want to consider, because many people may say, okay, you go to an interview and you tell them, I know how to use Excel. And Excel can be super easy. And Excel can be extremely hard depending on what you use it for, right? If you're gonna put like write some VBA codes, it's another story, right? But if you say, okay, I just use Excel to do plus or minus, it's a totally another story. But if you have a certification, then the employers see your resume, they'll say, okay, now I know how much you know about it, right? Okay, I've been talking too much, and then I want to open to the Q&A section. If there anyone has questions to me, can be anything.
Okay, Shannon. I have a question. So you also mentioned that like we know people from different backgrounds. They are all interested in this area because data science is really popular in recent years. So like from the company side, I'm not sure because I didn't read too many job description yet, but like for bachelor, master, PhD, or MBAs, so what's the difference? Like, will one company hire different people from different levels, or like they probably only focus on one level, or what's the different expectation on different people?
Okay, so I think it depends. I know it's a answer that can be answered to all of the questions, but it really depends. But some job titles, like if you want to be a data scientist, that you have to build the models, you have to build the algorithms. You probably need a PhD degree, right? But I know that some master degrees, they eventually be the data scientist as well. It's all depends on like it depends on your skills, and it also depends on what the company expect from you. So they may say, okay, we are considering hiring a data scientist, but it probably doesn't have to do too much like the very technical part, that part of job. So technically it's not considered as a data scientist, but it's definitely something that maybe the company's looking for, and you can still be there even though, let's say, if you have like a bachelor degree, right? You can still do that. And or like if you have a bachelor degree and you have more knowledge or more skills, you may still feel you may still qualify for some of the job titles, right? And like I said, many times it's just a title. Each company, they have different definitions on things. And like for data analysts, or like me, I'm a market analyst. So it's usually, I think, bachelor degree will be enough. Master degree, better. PhD, some companies may say it's probably overqualified, but again, it totally depends on if the person is a good fit to this company or not. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And another question, actually, I'm not sure if it's a proper question because like, I know many people like from engineering, from science, they want to do data science, but like some people, they want to do like software engineer, another really popular one, right? So I'm not sure if you yourself had any like consideration before like, oh, if I want to do data science, why not just try, learn more codings, learn some like software engineers. So how do you think about like two different majors or two different career pairs? Like how do you compare these two from the development, from like skill side, or anything?
So it's I see it as a very different pathways. One is more like, well, in analytics, you probably still need some coding skills. Like you probably needs to know SQL. You will use some like R. You will use like Python, things like that, right? If you if you know more about like the computer science, let's say like the C++, or JavaScript, right? Those are like, I see them as a two different areas, fields. And it depends on if you want to involve in more of the like data analysis part, I would say like the SQL, R, maybe even some JavaScript, things like that will be very helpful for you. And they are very different from C, C++, those things. And I'll be honest, I think I learned a little bit about C and C++, not much, because I'm not a software engineering. The way that I see it is, I think the data analytics, the code skill of data analytics is usually easier than the C or the more computer science coding languages. So that's how I see it. But also I think it's a balance, because if you're doing analytics stuff, you have to know more about data. So to choose between these two, if let's say a computer science major person say, okay, I may want to deal with the data analytics, it should be very easy for him or her to learn the coding language, but the analytics part, like the statistics part, is still something that he needs to learn, and it might be hard for him or her, sorry. Or the other side, if someone seeing data analytics and wants to go software engineering, the person needs to learn more about the coding, right? The computer science type of coding. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right. It seems that we have more and more participants over time. So welcome to join our event today. Do you have any questions to ask Yash, Taryn, and Sheila? Okay, I have a question. So Shannon, do you know what are the most popular languages, programming languages that the company needs for data science and analytics, like Python or R, and what else?
Okay, so my suggestion is to know R and Python. You don't have to be the expert yet, because when you start working, it depends on the company's needs. You may use, I say, if you use Python, you may need different packages. There's like just so many packages that you can use, right? So you don't have to be expert yet, but learn some basic about R and Python. I think these two are the biggest ones. And if anyone's very interested in business intelligence, like because I'm half of my job is about business intelligence, so I deal with Power BI a lot, and you may want to learn Power BI, the language for Power BI. There's two languages. One is called DAX. It's not hard to learn. If you use Power BI a lot, then you should be very familiar with that. And then the other one is M language, which you don't have to write it, but you have to understand it. So R and Python are the two biggest ones. I think it's very important, because even you use Power BI or even you use Tableau or like other stuff, they have like embedded function that you can put R script or Python script in there. I know that some people, I used to do projects for midstream energy company, and they deal with maps all the time. So it's something called ArcGIS. I know that you can use Python in there as well. So Python and R, I think, are the two biggest languages that you probably want to learn.
And is it necessary to learn SQL or SQL to find a data science job?
Okay, I think SQL is important as well. It again also depends on the job requirement, right? I think SQL is very important. But I think like for me, because I deal with SQL every so often, and I only use like very certain stuff. So for me, like it's just those stuff like I use it repeatedly every time, and sometimes I need to write like new SQL codes, and it's I think because I feel like SQL is something easier than Python. I mean, I know that it can be very extremely hard. It's just if you use SQL just for some like data query, I think it's relatively easy if you practice it more and more. And yes, I think SQL is important as well. Yeah.
Okay, so if we have no more questions, I have the last question. And
Oh, I have one more question.
okay,
Oh,
please.
sorry.
I can take more questions if
Oh yeah, hi Shannon.
Yes.
Yes, I want to know like for the career path and career growth. So if we started as a data scientist, which is like compared to like key account manager is a more like back-ended role. So like in comparison, like do you think which career track will let us progress faster? If it's like a technical program manager that utilize Python, or it's like a data scientist?
Okay, so that part, I will say, if you really want to get something that can like really make you grow very fast, then I would say definitely some like full stack type of job, right? Both back end and front end, something like that. So I think, but it's also very hard to start with. Um, I always think that you probably have a very like when I made my goal for careers, I put it very kind of broad because many times when you start doing this, you may feel okay, this is going towards the other way, right? And sometimes they may going towards. So I always put myself as a statistics analysis kind of person. And in my job, I started doing more and more BI, business intelligence, and doing more and more like forecasting, stuff like that. So things like that. So I would say have a broader vision of your career path and try to start with the one that you like the most and then try to find the best one during your like when you are there, because sometimes like I've met people who say, okay, I really want to do like the testing analysts, and when they're already there, they found their job doing the same thing every day, and they say, well, I think I want to change, and so that happens all the time. I would say if you want to start something that can grow you very fast, definitely full stack. But again, you may change your ideas while you're working towards that way and say, maybe I want to try this, maybe I want to concentrate on that.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. Like, so because we might change our ideas, right? I find it's a little bit like risky for us to choose our first full-time job because like for now I'm talking to different companies, but to be honest, because I have never worked there, I am not sure. Like, will I change my, if I like it or not very quickly once I get my full-time job? So how do you navigate through these, struggles?
Okay, so two things that you can consider. One thing is like I don't know if you saw this matrix when I talk about this matrix if you are here.
Yeah.
So definitely use this matrix to be part of your deciding factor, right? Because I think for a person who's going to do analytics, this is very important. And another suggestion that I give you is when you try to compare your jobs, let's say you got like multiple job offers from different companies, very important thing to ask is what my daily job, what my day will be like if I work here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely something that you will consider, because sometimes like you may see that the job description say, okay, you're gonna do this project, you're gonna do this project, but you don't know how to do this project. How are they gonna let you do this project, or what information they're going to provide you, right? So I think asking them, the interviewer, what your daily working will look like, or like what will my first year here look like? What will my after 5 years? Where do you see me, right? So things like that, definitely ask them and then try to decide from there.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other questions?
A very good question from Shannon. I have another question. So Shannon, do you have any tips for students who write their resume? So for example, if I'm a student who just starts looking for internship and find my first job, so I don't have any work experience. So what I have is only like a academic project. So what are the main points of the project description to attract the employers? Thank you.
So especially for people looking jobs in analytics area, it's very important to show them what you can do, right? Instead of just say, okay, I know in the skills part, you just say, I know machine learning, just like the examples I made before. There's so many people who said they know machine learning, but all they do is just to dump the numbers in the software and boom, get a result, right? So what you should do is to put like maybe use some projects to try to attract them, say, hey, I not only know machine learning, I understand it, I can do this, I did this project, and what I achieve from this project, right? Try to make it very short. So like I had an internship before at a local nonprofit education organization. So I will put like I did this project that I analysis there, how many years of data, how big that data is, and try to emphasize on I used this coding language to get this result, which helped them. Or you can even put like methods that you use. Like let's say I use logistic regression to help them identify chronic absent, to predict chronic absent, things like that. So more tell them not only your skills, but how good, how well you are. And like I said before, the certification always helps, or to take some exams always helps, because exams are the something like can really tell them, okay, I am good at this. I'm not only know this, but I'm good at this.
I've got a question.
Okay.
Would you suggest any certifications for data analyst kind of roles?
Sorry, pardon?
Would you suggest any certifications for data analyst kind of roles?
I would say if the school curriculum has already covered most of the things that you're going to need, then it's not necessary. For me, I only take the certification that like the exam type of certification. But other than that, I've never joined any like courses or the things to get certification, unless some skills that it's hard to show with projects or with your how to say, like you can't really say that I know this, and then they will believe you that you know this, right? So for those skills, and it's also something that the employer really needs, you may consider to get those certification. Yeah, does it answer your question?
Yeah, but I think most of the employers ask for Tableau or Power BI kind of certifications, right? So like there are a bunch of different visualization softwares out there. So would you just suggest any one kind of software that is, or application that is used widely in data world?
So I got the Power BI certification, and it's in Microsoft, it's called role-based certification. So although it's specifically designed for Power BI, the certification that you get, they call it associate. Well, they call it data analyst associate. So it's role-based, and if you go to their website, they have like a lot of different types of that. So Power BI is one, like I said. Tableau is widely used BI tool, and many people use that, and it's definitely something that you can consider to take. And my suggestion is it's something that can get you into a job, or it could be something that after you get a job, you start using that more and more, and you think, okay, maybe it's time for me to get a certification for that, right? It depends on your priority. If you think I have more time and I think I want to be more in like BI area, then the Power BI is definitely a good one. And if anyone use Azure, or I don't know how to say it, Azure in Microsoft, is definitely something that I can consider as well. And something that I would recommend is AWS. Is definitely a trending one. They have so many different type of exams that you can take, just like Microsoft.
Yeah, thank you.
All of the questions are very good. Okay. Any other questions? All right, I think if no more questions, you guys are welcome to add my LinkedIn. If you search Shannon Shang, Xiaonan Shang, I think I forgot which one I used, but you can definitely find me. And I will also, if you have any questions you want to discuss about something, you are more than welcome to message me, and we can talk about it. And I always believe that today I'm speaking to you guys, and then I can definitely learn something from you as well. So I love to discuss in these topics with you guys.
Right. Thank you, Shannon, for your enlightening speech. Very impressive and helpful for students who want to start their career in analytics industry. And for anyone who want to watch this event again, you can check our YouTube channel to see the recordings later. Right. Thank you for joining our event today.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.